So let's also think about the different variables that go into the reproductive success of something. One of them concerns the energy it takes to make a piece of the body. This is a costly item. The creature has to metabolize, they have to grow, the cell division has to go on, there has to be developmental organization of the parts. All of these things are, in a very literal sense of the word, expensive. So, in the case, for example, of cavefish, in fact, I should go on and say a species of fish that has populations that live at the surface in ordinary light and also has populations, because it has a very broad range, in subterranean flooded caves. So I'm talking about the famous Mexican tetra. What happens here is, at first, if we take the pretty story, we say, well, look, the cavefish doesn't need its eyes. It doesn't see down there. And glory be, when we look at the cavefish, guess what? You find that they have somewhat recognizable but non-functional optical organs, eyes, without lenses, and superficially looks as though they have nothing there, and of course cannot see. So one says, haha, they didn't need them. Selection has removed them from the picture. How wonderful. Well, there are a couple of things to pay attention to. First of all, when we look across all these instances, we see across creatures a range. We see in many cases organs that have not changed. They may not actually be used in that given environment, and the organs haven't changed at all. We also see situations where the organs are simply absent. They're present in related creatures, but they're absent in this one. Most of the time, though, we see something in between, which is exactly the case with the cavefish, where they have almost absent and non-functioning, somewhat, eyes. So, therefore, what's going on? If selection is getting rid of it, how come they're not gone? And furthermore, what variables are we really talking about? Again, the main one is the energy. And reproductive success is ultimately the telling feature of this. We have to look at the energy it takes to put these eyes together, which is considerable. We also have to take a look at what on earth does that energy do? Does it detract from the energy of the fish in terms of reproductive success in the context of those caves? If that's the case, then yes, we're talking about selection reducing the developmental energy spent on these particular organs. And as an inference, taking a look at the variation that we see, taking a look at the creatures and their natural history, my understanding of the situation is that when the organ's energy requirements no longer detract from the reproductive effort of the fish, then the conditions are over. The reproductive impact is no longer a prevailing condition, and therefore, instead of scrubbing out the rest of the eye, selection no longer obtains, and the semi-eyes that are currently the case are now what the fish have. So it's well worth considering that no, we don't look at the creature's purported need for something as the directive principle in what selection is doing. We have to look at the three conditions, and then within that reproductive condition in particular, we have to look at the crisscrossing elements of the impact on the creature's life and the energy cost and the reproductive success.